Hello, hello, and welcome back to Keshanar Confidential. This is a series where we're taking a look behind the scenes at the making of the Kingdom of Keshanar, which is a D&D 5e setting that is based on ancient Egypt and asks the very important question, what if the gods, the monsters, and the magic were real? So we've been talking with a lot of the people behind the scenes that have contributed in all kinds of ways to the project, and I am so excited today to actually be talking to one of our lead artists who has really done just absolutely so much for the project. So welcome to the show. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hello. My name is Joze. It's spelled Joze, completely different from how it sounds. And yes, I am one of the artists that have been working on bringing the visual side of the projects to life.
Would you be willing to tell us a little bit about your background, like your general work and how you came to the project?
Of course. So I am an illustrator and a concept artist. I've been working on all sorts of projects for quite a while now, since I've gone freelance. Um, Mostly books, some video games, some tabletop games as well. And yeah, I started working on Keshanar. I think it's going on 2 years now. Uh, Dave got in touch asking if I could design some graphic design elements for NPC cards. And yeah, we worked on a few different concepts, decided on one, which we developed then further, and it's still actually being used now. And that was it, kind of a rather short and pleasant task. And then after 2 weeks, Dave got back in touch saying, do you happen to know anything about architecture? Because, I'm working with the 3D team that's building the whole city and they need some sketches. And it was the funniest, quote unquote, you're not going to believe this moment because I am actually an architect. I have a master's degree in architecture. I worked as an architect for well over a decade before pursuing illustration. So yeah, I guess the my involvement kind of grew from there.
To say that your involvement grew is kind of an understatement. Um, you've kind of become known in the background as the, "Oh my god, we're having an art crisis. Where is he?" guy, because you will solve all of our problems for us every time.
Okay, I didn't know, but okay, thank you. I guess.
You kind of have become the Batman of the art team.
Oof, that's very high praise. I'm not entirely sure how to respond, but look, I think the entire art team has been pretty damn amazing. Everybody's been pulling their weight. There's no slackers on the team. Everybody's doing their best work on here, I think.
Oh, absolutely. We've definitely gotten extremely lucky with the group of artists that we've pulled together, especially considering the state of where the art was just a year ago. For those that don't know, we actually had a lead artist and discovered that he was using AI and had to scrap everything and start over completely organically, which has been a journey, but it has allowed us to, reassess where we wanna be with the art and, as you said, put together just a really great team.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely.
Okay, so you mentioned that your background is in architecture,
Correct.
and obviously this does involve a lot of architecture, with the 3D, the Unreal build that we have for players to use. But how does that affect your approach to just a regular illustration that we have you do?
Well, it depends because Dave is really good with giving certain tasks to people who will then execute it really well. I think he's great with finding strengths with every individual and then dividing the workload accordingly. So yeah, I would say aside from other illustration work, my main responsibilities are larger scenes that are depicting the parts of the city or the large vistas, and that sort of drawing and sketching and stuff that it kind of comes naturally to me just because I've done it for so long. So I think it was a rather seamless transition in that sense.
Ancient Egypt obviously has an extremely identifiable aesthetic. I mean, everyone has a vision in their head of what ancient Egypt looks like, whether that's correct or not. Has that affected the style that you work with at all?
In regards of the specific art style, not really, because I think every artist um, kind of has their own style. But in terms of the elements that we use, the color schemes that we use, that definitely affects everything. Because you do need to have a certain aesthetic, you do need to bring that atmosphere through. And I think that, yeah, we've done a really good job with everything in that regard. If you look at, Ren's work, Darius's work, Gianluca's work, I mean, there are artists that I'm not naming right now because there was so many on this project, but I could probably pinpoint everyone and, how well they've done in this portion of the project.
Has there been a particular piece that you've done or worked on? Because we kind of have a weird like assembly line um, with a lot of the pieces where this person works on this part and this person works on that part. So I know a lot of it is not like just like yours solo. But has there been a particular piece that you've either created wholesale or worked on that really stands out as your favorite?
I mean, if you're asking about the artwork that's got either that was done solo or has a majority of my stuff in it, it would be the Sand Dragon with the Keshanar town vista. I think it's on the van. It's been used on one side of the van. Uh, and the other one that I recently did was depicting the floating pillars of Mammalon. That one was as well. But yeah, for the others, I've worked closely with Antoine Ren, and I think yeah, that's been a very rewarding process as well because his concepts are just amazing. And basically, then I take over that side of the project, and then I kind of put a bit more details on it, that sort of stuff. Like you said, it's almost like an assembly line at this point.
I really like the getting to observe the different ways that all the artists approach a piece. And I know I've said this a lot, but my background is in traditional art, so anyone that can do anything with digital art, I'm like, oh my god, it's a wizard.
See,
For
for me, it's the other way around. Uh, because I have the privilege of the undo button, which is not to be taken lightly.
that is totally fair. You mentioned your sand dragon piece. I'm also very partial to that one because I love a good beastie. For those of you that haven't seen it, go look on any of our social media channels, and you will see it prominently featured because it is on the side of our convention van, uh, and it's just really striking. So you also mentioned the Pillars of Memnon. That was something that you just created, right?
In regards to the whole concept, you mean?
Yeah.
No, I think that was the who was it? Was it Bella? I'm not entirely sure. I wasn't on the project at that time because they've mentioned how that came to be, and I think it was the original artist that was on the project that came up with the concept of having the floating pillars around the city. So yeah, I can't take credit for that. I would love to, but it's not the right thing to do.
An honest man, everybody. Has it been, speaking of the process and working with different artists, has it been an adjustment at all to work in a team the way that we do, where everything is so integrated with each other?
No, for me, not at all, actually, because especially coming from my last job, which was in a very uh, a dynamic architectural studio, we need to work alongside each other very efficiently. And I think that's something that I carried over from architecture to here. So there's no, you need to eliminate all the ego, everything. It's basically what's good for the artwork. How can you improve it? What can you do to make it stand out, to make it pop? And that's the kind of the mindset that I have here as well. Because there's been so many different inputs from, like I said, from Gianluca, from Ren, from anyone else that's been involved in the art side of the project. And yeah, you take it in, you see what needs to be done, how can you adjust it, how can you help it, and that's kind of what it is. It's yeah, it's quite simple actually from where I'm standing.
That's a really, really great answer and a great point about how important it is for something like this to work together so seamlessly. And I feel like that's definitely true for art team. I know I'm super biased and I am fully admitting to that, but I feel like because everyone is bringing something, I mean, you're all talented artistically, but you're all talented in completely different ways. And because there's a synergy between all of you and you communicate and work well together, that the art that we make for this project is just objectively good. Like, it's not good for a TTRPG, it's not good for a game, it's just good.
Well, yeah, I do agree. The talent on the art team is quite amazing. That combined with, Dave's mindset that not everything is good enough, kind of gives it that additional push because Dave is a very detail driven person, which is great because I'm too, and I can, I can see what he's doing with this because he's really pushing us to deliver the best artwork that we can. And I think it goes hand in hand with everything that's happening, and that's why you're seeing the artwork that yeah, the art team is pumping out.
Shout out another mention to Channel Cryptid Dave, who is, you know, currently with several other members of the team creeping around the continental United States to various conventions. Speaking of games, do you engage in the wholly addicting realm of TTRPGs at all?
Um, no, not in that sense. This is the thing that needs a bit more context. I grew up in a different part of the world, and internet wasn't a thing back then. So Dungeons and Dragons didn't make it, to my peripheral vision till much later. Um, I do enjoy games, but they're more classical tabletop games and video games, of course. But no, I didn't. I never played Dungeons and Dragons before, fortunately. Although yeah, I love the concept, and I do work on a project that's related to it, and I have in the past as well, and I'm pretty sure it will happen in the future as well. But yeah, so far, no. Unfortunately, it's a negative answer.
Well, what a way to get thrown into the deep end. Like,
True.
hello, here's a TTRPG. Fix it. If it makes you feel any better, there's a number of us on the project that kind of came to this interest later in life. I mean, I didn't pick up a role playing manual of any kind, like that actually had rules in it. 'Cause, I mean, I'd look at monster manuals and whatnot occasionally because, as I said, I love gross little beasties. Um, but I didn't look at a rule book until I was like almost 30.
Right.
And
Okay. Okay.
we've got people that have been, playing since they were, 10, 11, 12, and we've got people that literally had their first game in the last 12 months.
Well, yeah,
So,
I've seen on the server that Marx is hosting a few of those sessions. So I've been really contemplating on joining one just to see how everything goes, and because I am interested, obviously I'm deeply involved with the project, and it's only natural to wanting to learn more about it.
oh, that, yes, I was literally getting ready to ask you if working on this project had gotten its hooks into you yet and, we were going to pull you over to the dark side to play a game.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think it's safe to say so. Yeah.
So, having created a number of pieces that center around the monsters and some other action encounters, is there one in particular that has stood out to you that you're like, yes, I want to encounter that, or no, please keep that as far away from me as possible?
Oof. Um, I mean, look, um, the mind of some of the artists that draw, monsters and deities and whatever is just like, yeah, no, thank you. I'll just keep standing here in the safe part of the town. I won't venture very far. That's fine. Yeah, I think to point out a few. I mean, especially Darius has been amazing with his monster concepts. Um, yeah, sometimes I see a finished artwork or sketches. It doesn't really matter, and I'm just like, wow, this is yeah. I wouldn't want to come across anything like it at all, ever, because it's just no way.
Very relatable. I solidly feel that way about a number of creatures. One stands out for me as the Ballast Fiend because I have an all-consuming phobia of tentacles, and we went and created a terrible tentacle monster that lives in the sewer, and I hate it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, Mop Hotep kind of looks like a fun dude. So yeah, he'd be all right.
Okay, right? That is also extremely relatable. I feel like there's a number of us who would love to hang out and go get a drink with Mapotep. To
Yep.
backtrack a little bit here, and touch again on your background with architecture and the work in the Unreal Engine that build that we're doing, was it a big adjustment for you to go from working on more modern, quote unquote, regular architecture to a purely ancient Egyptian inspired aesthetic?
No, not at all, really. Because my master's degree that I got it from University of Ljubljana, and it's a quite serious program. It's basically 5 years of just architecture. It's not like there's a regular thing or college or whatever, because I know each country has set up this whole thing differently. So it's not like you would generally expect it to be a bunch of random subjects and then you pick a major, which is architecture. No, it's like the whole 5 years is dedicated to architecture and solely architecture. Um,
Wow.
and a vast portion of it, like each year, you have a separate subject which is only analyzing and working on older styles of architecture, whether it be ancient, Renaissance, you name it. So I was very familiar with the architectural styles that were used in ancient Egypt. So that wasn't actually difficult at all, and the process was basically pretty flew pretty seamless as well, because Dave came up with a few concepts, sent me some sketches, and then I work on a bit of sketching myself, trying to introduce some architectural elements that were actually used in the ancient Egyptian architecture, prepared either isometric drawings or the typical floor plan elevations, sections, that sort of stuff, and I sent those then to 3D team, which then assembled it in I think they used Blender and then imported it into Unreal.
The mention of the floor plans is very interesting because we have developed a tool that allows us to do top down slices essentially of buildings and streets and whatnot. If so that players can make battle maps pretty much on the go.
Hmm, hmm.
Knowing how important that is, did you feel like you had to take extra care when making, the footprint of a building or the layout?
Okay, so regarding the floor plans, no, actually, at that point, I think that idea of having the whole battle map at a push of a button developed later in process. So when we were designing the whole thing, we were just trying to design believable buildings, that were kind of stylized in a way that they would be in ancient Egypt, and how it would look like, and which elements would be used. But no, regarding the floor plans alone and having that, uh, how would this look as a battle map thing in the background, that didn't occur until later, actually.
So would you call this a happy accident that the very rectangular buildings of ancient Egypt just lend themselves to that?
Yeah, I suppose you can say that. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, well, to completely veer away here for a minute, um, I'm going to ask you a very serious question. So I hope you're ready for this.
Okay.
Because
You're getting me
I
nervous.
always Be afraid.
Mm,
I always like to wrap up here with something that is very hard-hitting journalism. You and I are both, metalheads, as we've discussed in private many times. Let's
very true.
pretend
Yeah.
for a moment that we are transplanted to Keshanar. We're gonna form a metal band. What are we calling it?
Oh, that's a good question. Um,
Very
Poof,
serious business.
very, very serious business. I mean, I would say, we could just, headbang on Niall's discography. That would be fitting, I think. But
Yeah, okay, fair
yeah, I
enough.
don't know. How would we call ourselves? That's a good question. You put me on the spot, and I have no idea how to answer that.
The thing is, is that there's room for so many hilarious puns.
Okay, go on.
Like, I mean, just call yourself the Tomb Raiders or something.
Okay, okay, yeah, that was terrible.
Terrible, right? Children of Duat.
Yeah.
Mhm. Lamb of Apep? I don't know.
Okay, now you're pushing it. But yeah, okay, yeah, that's a good one.
Okay, so if we formed a metal band in Keshanar, what instrument are you playing?
Well, guitar would be my choice, obviously. It's an instrument I'm most proficient in. So yeah. What about you?
Well, it works out that you want to play guitar, because first of all, I have stupid fingers, so I don't go near an instrument. Um, and it's also great because they had like a lot of different designs of lyre and stringed instruments, so I absolutely guarantee there is one that you could pick up.
There you go. Now we just need an amp, and yeah, that's it.
I feel like they could find a way to electrify it through magic or something.
Yeah, exactly. Riff into the sunset.
Exactly. You think you could get one on the back of one of those tusks they have out in the desert, the mammoth horse things?
Oh yeah. Definitely. Definitely.
Instead of Mastodon, we have Tusk. All right. Well, it has been like an absolute pleasure to talk to you and to get an insight into some of the art that's been made because obviously that's been the most visually prominent aspect of the game because that's what we're posting on social media and whatnot. So thank you for chatting with me about it, and thank you so much for all of your work. Before we go, do you have any personal projects, portfolios, anything like that that you'd like to talk about?
Well, first I wanted to thank you for inviting me. It's been a pleasure. Um, yeah, regarding my projects, well, I do have a musical project, but that's still in wraps, so I can't really reveal too much. Uh, Outside of that, Keshanar's kind of been my major focus lately. So, outside of that, I'm kind of just enjoying life as it is.
That is extremely fair and very relatable. And at the risk of embarrassing you farther, everyone should keep an eye on this man and his musical project for when it does launch. You were kind enough to give me a sneak peek, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
So, thank you. Thank you.
All right, this has been Keshanar Confidential. You can find more information about the gang across pretty much every social media platform. We can be found on Facebook, Blue Sky, Instagram, and we also, our Kickstarter is live and it is running through May 8th. You can find it by going to Kickstarter and searching for Kingdom of Keshanar, or just Googling for Kingdom of Keshanar Kickstarter. My name is Lady X. I am an uncouth bystander of Set, and I will see you in the next episode.